Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Everybody, please have a seat. Please have a seat. It is good to be back in Toledo. It is good to be with all of you. Now, for those of you who I've met up close, I just want you to know that I stopped by Rudy's, had 2 hot dogs, 2 chili dogs with onions. So I've been looking for a mint backstage. It tasted pretty good going down, though. It is wonderful to see you. We've got some outstanding public servants who are here who've been working hard on behalf of working Americans their entire careers. One of the finest senators that I know of, Senator Sherrod Brown, is in the House. Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur's in the House. Your mayor is in the House. Give him a big round of applause. I just took a short tour of the plant and watched some of you putting the finishing touches on the Wrangler. Now, as somebody reminded, I need to call it the iconic Wrangler. And that's appropriate, because when you think about what Wrangler has always symbolized freedom, adventure, hitting the open road, never looking back, which is why Malia and Sasha will never buy one. Until maybe they're 35. I don't want any adventure for them. I want to thank Jill for the kind introduction. Somebody on my staff asked Jill to describe herself in 3 words or less, and she said, hard-working. Hard-working. And her entire family agreed. So she's with the right team here at this plant, because I know there are a lot of hard-working people here. And I am I'm proud of all of you. Jill was born and raised right here in Toledo. Her mother retired from this plant. Her stepfather retired from this plant. Her uncle still works at this plant. She met her husband at this plant. Now they have 2 children of their own, and her 3-year-old wants to work at this plant. I don't think her story is unique. I'm sure there are a lot of you who have similar stories of previous generations working for Chrysler. And this plant, or the earlier plant that used to, that I guess is still right down the road, this is the economic rock of the community. You depend on it, and so do thousands of Americans. The Wrangler you build here directly supports 3,000 other jobs, with parts manufactured all across America. Doors from Michigan, axles from Kentucky, tires from Tennessee, and this plant indirectly supports hundreds of other jobs right here in Toledo. After all, without you, who'd eat at Chet's, or Hinky's, or Rudy's, or who'd buy all those cold ones at Zinger's? This guy right here. That's the Zinger crew right there. All right. What would be life like here in Toledo if you didn't make these cars? You know, 2 years ago, we came pretty close to finding out. We were still near the bottom of a vicious recession, the worst that we've seen in our lifetimes. And ultimately, that recession cost 8 million jobs. And it hit this industry particularly hard. So in the year before I took office, this industry lost more than 400,000 jobs. In the span of a few months, 1 in 5 American auto workers got a pink slip. And 2 great American companies, Chrysler and GM, stood on the brink of liquidation. Now, we had a few options. We could have followed the status quo and kept the automakers on life support by just giving them tens of billions of dollars of taxpayer money, but never really dealing with the structural issues at these plants. But that would have just kicked the problem down the road. Or we could have done what a lot of folks in Washington thought we should do, and that is nothing. We could have just let U.S. automakers go into an uncontrolled free fall. And that would have triggered a cascade of damage all across the country. If we let Chrysler and GM fail, plants like this would have shut down, then dealers and suppliers across the country would have shriveled up, then Ford and other automakers could have failed too, because they wouldn't have had the suppliers that they needed. And by the time the dominoes stopped falling, more than 1 million jobs in countless communities, in a proud industry that helped build America's middle class for generations, wouldn't have been around anymore.